Hello and welcome back to the arena. Renewal season is going to be wrapping up on September 17th, and for those of you who haven't heard, Wizards has really done it right for the arena community. They are going to give every renewing account 10 free randomly determined rares. Plus, as we move into the Zendikar season, there are going to be free uncommon ICRs as well as free packs, and yes, even free mythics available for those renewing accounts. For those of you who are new to the community, don't despair. This is a good sign that Wizards is looking to foster and grow this community. And it is a great incentive for you to spend this first year on Arena farming your collection, and when renewal comes around at the beginning of next fall, you'll be enjoying those same type of rewards. I really think this is the best renewal season Wizards has done yet, and I hope that they learn from this and continue to see their community grow, and that they continue to foster this kind of growth environment within the community. Now, that having been said, let's talk about one of those items that they give to new players, that being the mono white deck. We're basically going to wrap up our discussions on the mono collection decks and then move into new deck building. Nearly all the monocolored decks given to the new player experience are really kind of two decks in often opposition, and you really see this with the mono white. It starts out as a very low to the ground white weenie combat trick, life gain matters sort of deck, and then it tops into these very expensive pie in the sky, mostly rare cards that unfortunately are so costed you often won't be able to play them, and they'll just be dead in your hand trying to get there. And if you are able to play them, more often than not, will not have an immediate effect on the board state. You either have to untap or swing or have an additional card to play after it to make any of these really matter. So as you can see in the deck on the lower half of your screen, we are going to lean into that first portion of the deck. We are going to go very heavy into the white weenie concept, which is low casting cost, fast, go wide strategies. And from what you see here, we got rid of most of that top end and eliminated all those what I refer to as pie in the sky cards, things that are basically there for the Timmies. They look cool, they look flashy, but ultimately they're not really doing a lot for your deck. Instead, we're topping out with the War Leader and the Baneslayer Angel. Baneslayer Angel is kind of my concession to the Timmies. It is a really cool card. It is very expensive. It is very flashy, but it will have an impact on the board and force your opponent to choose between removing your War Leader or removing your Baneslayer, with what may very well be the last piece of removal in their deck. And really, there is no good choice there. No matter what they do, they are ultimately going to lose the game, probably to the one that they don't deal with. As you can see here, we really leaned into the life gain matters. Almost every card either gains us life or benefits from gaining life. Ultimately, I think we end up with a much better aggro deck. Of course, aggro is always the budget player's friend, as it allows you to play quick and cheap budget decks for benefit. And ultimately, I think this has enough synergy to really be a better deck overall. Now, unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about the blue deck that Arena provides for new player experience. This, to me, is one of the saddest decks in the new player arsenal right now. To create a blue deck that doesn't have any counter spells in it anywhere is not really teaching the new player about blue. I really think it's a shame that we don't even see something as simple as 3 copies of Counterspell or excuse me, Cancel being the current go-to iteration for Magic the Gathering. Really what you have here is a lot of bounce effects with no way to stop them from replaying it. The sleep effect isn't bad if you had the creatures to attack with and really have finishers, but for the most part you have really undervalued creatures here. A lot of land for a mono blue deck, and unfortunately there's really not anywhere to really go with this. There are a couple tools here that would make it into a blue-white flyer / control deck, but really just not a lot here for the new player. This deck just ends up being a little bit sad, and for that reason I won't even be developing a replacement for this deck, because I think there's just not enough here to really work with. Similarly, the mono black deck suffers from a critical lack of synergy. There's just not enough to tie these mediocre cards together into any kind of effective win percentage. Many of these cards are overcosted or don't have enough value in the card itself, and really it just doesn't gel. This deck ends up being a big pile of nothing. Instead of cold-blooded killers, I think they should have just called this deck a stone cold failure and been done with it. One of the best cards in this is the Demon of Loathing. The flying and trample together with the sacrifice effect when it deals combat damage makes it really a really effective card if you can get to playing it. But at a 7 casting cost, this is going to spend more time in your hand than it does in the battlefield, and unfortunately it still dies to removal like everything else. So once your little Timmy Heart is feeling good having played this, next thing you know they have found a way to remove this card, difficult or not. All this boils down to a deck that is just not worth saving. We will talk about a mono black option a little later in the season, but for right now I would just kind of ignore this deck. A few of the cards in here will fill in some blanks in some other builds, but all in all the black cards in the New Player Experience collection are really lackluster. The blue-black and red-black decks are, well, and the green-black deck is not really worth saving either. So we're not going to be dealing a lot with these mono-black cards, but maybe they'll turn into something when they rotate into Historic next year or the year after when you're adding some more to your collection. As I said at the beginning of the video, renewal season is wrapping up on September 17th, but between now and then, one of the best things you can be doing for your collection is doing quick drafts of Core Set 2021. Essentially, anytime you get 5,000 gold together, this is what you want to be doing with it. As you can see, I've got about 15,000 gold myself, and while this video is compiling and posted, I will be doing drafts for the core set, 3 in total, and compiling those into a video about my overall draft strategy and using it to grow your collection, and showing you specific pick points that illustrate the use of that strategy and why it most effectively builds your collection. Also on the near future horizon for videos from me, you will be seeing one about value play. Now that we have kind of talked about all the new player experience decks, we're going to be moving into deck building and how to grow those collections and what represents good value for the budget player. It's a very different world in Arena if you buy 90 packs the day the set comes out, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that strategy, but if you just don't like buying your way into a game, or if you don't have the funds to buy your way into the game, even if you might like to, a budget value-minded game plan is really the way to go. And again, all of that centers right now around doing as many quick draft core sets as you can. So get out there, build your collection, and until next time, I'll see you in the arena.